Hello everybody and welcome. I am the Shy Hat and this is HackerFrogs Extra Credit. Alright, so everybody, we're going to be doing some cybersecurity challenges today with the picoCTF platform. My name is the Shy Hat and we're going to be doing some challenges, like I said, in accordance with what we learned on Monday's workshop. We've been recently learning about Linux OS operations, so let's do a quick summary of what we learned on Monday's workshop. So we learned a couple of important things. First of all, we learned about the sort command. The sort command takes all the lines contained within a given file or output and returns them in alphabetical or numerical order. So this is important when you are trying to organize information, and when you're dealing with the Linux command line, you want to make sure that all of your information is organized neatly and you're able to find it easily. We also took a look at the unique command. The unique command takes all of the lines in a file and removes any lines with identical contents to the one above it. This command is very useful for removing consecutive blank lines in a given file. So basically, commands like sort and unique are used to improve the formatting of information, which makes the information much more presentable and easier to look at. We also looked at command piping. Command piping is the process of passing the output of one command in the input into passing the output of one command into the input of a second command via use of the Linux pipe character. So piping is something we do a lot inside of the Linux terminal, so learning how to do that is a very important skill. And we also learned about the strings command. The strings command is used to return human readable text from files that do not contain a lot of human readable text. So it's often used to find text inside of files that contain both text and binary data. And lastly, we learned about the base64 command. The base64 command encodes and decodes data according to the base64 codec format. Sorry, it shouldn't say codec, it should just say format. It is often used to convert data for transmission across computer networks. So, today we're going to be dealing with some picoCTF. I hope everybody here has a picoCTF account, but if you don't, you can make one over at picoCTF.org. I'll provide that link in the chat for everybody to access in case you need it. So let's start with our first challenge of the day, and it's going to be static isn't always noise. Okay, so just use this link over here. Oh, I don't seem to have sent that message. So this is the picoCTF URL. And this is the URL that leads directly to the challenge that we're going to be doing for the first exercise. And this one is called Static Isn't Always Noise. Let me bring it up in my own terminal, in my own browser over here. All right, so this is Static Isn't Always Noise. This is from the picoCTF event that happened in 2021, not too long ago. So the description on this challenge says, can you look at the data in this binary? So binary refers to a binary executable file, and this file is called static, and it also says this bash script might help. Okay, so we will be taking a look at that in a second, but first of all, we need to set up our picoCTF web shell. This picoCTF web shell is a very important tool for interacting with picoCTF challenges, and it is a very useful feature on the picoCTF website. So let's go over to the web shell button, which is located over here. So just click on the web shell button over here, and we'll be prompted to enter our picoCTF username. So what we don't want is, we don't want this web shell to be a pop-out web shell like this. We want it to be in its own browser tab, and we can do that by clicking on this button over here, which is going to pop out the web shell into its own browser tab. Click on that, and then this will have its own browser tab, which makes it much easier to look at. All right, so here we need to enter our picoCTF username and our password. So let me grab my password from my password manager. If you are not using a password manager program, I highly suggest that you do, because it lets you keep individual and unique passwords for each one of your login services. So let me look this up. So it's picoCTF, and I'm going to grab my password right now. I'm going to copy it to my clipboard, and then I'm going to type in my picoCTF username, which is the Shy Hat, and then I will enter the password with Shift-Control-V. So inside of the picoCTF web shell, we have to use Control-Shift-C and Control-Shift-V to copy and paste. And after we've input our password, we are in our web shell. You'll know because you'll see your username -picoCTF at web shell over here. And with that said, let's go over the challenge description one more time. Okay, so this one is static isn't always noise. If for some reason you're having difficulties, or if you have a question that you want to ask about any of these challenges or anything else that we've discussed during the HackerFrogs workshops, please type it in chat and I'll try to answer your questions as soon as possible. I do enjoy having a conversation while we're solving the challenges, because me talking at you isn't as fun and interactive as us having a conversation. So this is static isn't always noise, and the description over here says, can you look at the data in this binary? And then we have a link. It says static, this bash script might help. All right. EMAT84 says, what's up? What is up, EMAT84? I hope you're having a good day. I heard you were having some computer difficulties yesterday, and I hope you've resolved all those issues. All right, so let's copy the link for this binary over here. So what you need to do is right-click on this, and then click on Copy Link Address. Copy link address, then go over to your web shell. And what we want to do is we want to create an environment for this particular challenge. So if I do ls, I see that I have a bunch of different directories for different challenges, and I'm going to make one for this challenge as well. So this one I will do make directory to create the directory, and I'll call this one static isn't, just to make it a little bit shorter. So make dir static isn't, and then I will enter that directory with the cd command, and then I will use the wget command to download the file. So wget command is a very useful Linux terminal command for downloading files, but of course you will need the URL that leads to the file in order to access it. So since we've copied it already, I can do Control-Shift-V to paste in the file location, and then I will press enter to execute the command. Okay, so it says static saved over here. So if we check with the ls command, we see that this file is indeed in our directory. All right, so let's go over to the challenge description to take a look at some additional instructions. It says this bash script might help. Okay, so we have a link that also leads to a bash script. Let's copy that link as well. So right-click on it, and then copy the link address, and then over back to the web shell, and we're going to use wget to download that file as well. Okay, so wget, and then paste in the location of the script file, enter to download it, and we see that there is a script file in here. So we haven't really dealt with executable files too much in our Linux OS operations workshop so far, but we'll explain them now, I suppose. So if anybody is late to getting here, you can also join in with us while we solve these challenges. Okay, so it seems to have logged me out. I'm going to log back in again. I am the Shy Hat, and I will copy my password and log in again. Okay, so to anybody who is joining us a bit late, let me paste in the URL of the challenge we are doing right now. Of course, you're going to need a valid user account at the picoCTF website in order to join us, and you're going to have to open up your web shell terminal to solve the challenges with us. So if anybody is having trouble with that, go ahead and tell us in chat, and we'll try to help you out getting started. All right, so let's take a look at the contents of this script file over here, which is ltdis.sh, and we can cat that out. So it looks like ripping strings from binary with file offsets. Okay, so it looks like we might want to run this file. Let's see, this usage of object dump disassembles all from the first file given by invoker, but only prints out the .text section. All right, so let's try to give this script a run. Okay, so what we want to do first is we want to make this file executable. So if you take a look at the files inside of this directory here, you'll notice that the executable bit over here, which is denoted by the X over here when we look at it in list form, it is not enabled for the script file. So we can enable it, and we can make the script executable by using the following command. So it's chmod, so I think this one is called change mode, and then we want to give it a +X, and then the name of the file in question. So in this case, it's this file right here. So now that we have run that command, we see that inside of the directory list, we see that this file now is executable, which is denoted by the X over here. So if we were to run this file by itself, which we can do by doing // and then the name of the file. Okay, it says, so it's going to be this script file and then the program file over here, and it says bye. So this here gives us the syntax for how to use the program. So let's follow the syntax. So we will run this file, and we will use the name of the file that we want to run it on as the argument, which is the file over here, static. Okay, any strings found in static have been written to static.ltdis.strings.txt with file offset something something. Okay, so let's take a look at the contents of our directory now to see if a new file has appeared. And so it's created a couple of new files over here. So there's this one over here and this one over here. There's one called strings and there's one called x8664. So I suppose that one contains human readable strings and the other one contains machine data. So let's try reading this one with the strings. So what we would do is use the cat command .ltdis.strings.txt, and it seems to be the contents of a bunch of memory registers inside of here. Okay, it says, oh hi, wait, what, a flag? Yes, it's around here somewhere. And then it seems to be there seems to be a flag over here. So what we can do is we can just copy that and use this as the flag for this particular challenge. Okay, so in this particular challenge, we downloaded a couple of files, and we were able to use the script provided by the challenge to run on the binary file that we were provided, and from that we were able to extract the flag. Okay, so bear in mind that the flag for myself, for my username, is not necessarily going to be the same as the one for your username. So if you use this exact flag, it's probably not going to work for you. You'll have to copy your own flag after completing the challenge. Okay, so let's go back to the challenge description. And then we will paste in the flag in the flag submission field. And then we will click on Submit Flag. Okay, so we have completed it and gotten 20. We have 20 points. Congratulations to us. Let's EMAT84 says use cat blah 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 grep Okay, so I think you could use that as well. So before we explore that, let's go back to the challenge file, and let's go back to the challenge file, and then let's upvote the challenge. So to show appreciation to the challenge makers, we can upvote the challenge by clicking on this like button over here. Okay, now that that's done, let's go back to the file to see if we can solve it in a different way. Okay, so EMAT84 says that we can cat out the file and then grep out the flag. Okay, so let's cat out this the strings file right here. And then pipe it, and then grep, use grep to grab something out of the output there, and we can grep out picoCTF, which is the flag prefix for all of the picoCTF challenges. So if we were to do this, then we would get the flag directly. Okay, that's a good use of the grep command in the piping. EMAT84, very good. All right, so there's another way we could try to solve this challenge as well. So inside of static over here, we could try using the strings command on static. And if we use the strings command on static, let's see what happens. So we also get a bunch of human readable strings, but it seems that we also get the flag file over here. So a lot of the times when we're using strings, we can also specify a minimum length that is returned. So let's just say we use strings with -10, any numerical value, and then we were to do this. It's only going to return strings, human readable strings that are at least 10 characters or more. So that's a good way to filter out any shorter strings in the output. So that's another way of solving this challenge. All right, so if you manage to solve this challenge, please type static in chat. At this point, I'm going to run an ad. I've recently monetized my channel, which is great for me, but unfortunately I have to run ads on it now. So I'm going to run a 1-minute ad, so please bear with me. And then we'll move on to the next challenge. Okay, so I think the ad break is over now, so let's continue. All right, so let's move on to our next challenge. This is a challenge called Strings It, and in this case, I think the name of the challenge should give you a good indication of what is required from the challenge. EMAT84 says en français. So I assume that EMAT84 got an ad in French. I've very rarely gotten Twitch ads in French. So this time I want you to try to, let's go back. This time I want you to try to race me to getting the flag in this particular challenge. So this is Strings It. So in this challenge, the description says, can you find flag in file without running it? Okay, so this time we pretty much know what which commands we need to do to solve this particular challenge. I want you to try to race me to the flag, and if you're able to get the flag, please paste it in chat, and then we'll know that you've completed the challenge. So try to race me and try to complete the challenge before I do. All right, so here it says, can you find the flag in file without running it? And we have a hint over here. We'll use the hint if we need to, but for now, let's go back to the picoCTF web shell and let's set up our challenge environment. So first we want to go to our home directory, and then we want to create a file over here called stringsit. So make dir stringsit, and then we enter that directory with the cd command, and now we're ready to download the file. So if we do pwd to see the working directory, we are in the stringsit directory. Let's go over to emat84 has got it. Congratulations, emat84. All right, so this challenge doesn't take too long, but let's copy the file over here, copy link address, and then go over to the web shell, and then use the wget command to download the file. So after the file is downloaded, we see that we have a file inside of our directory. Now let's use the strings command on it. So in this case, it is strings, and we have a lot of output over here actually. So what we want to do is we want to use the strings command in conjunction with the pipe, and we're going to use grep to try to get out the flag, which is the flag prefix is always going to be picoCTF, just like this. Let's grep out the flag, and the flag is right here. So we use the grep command to extract the line with the criteria in it, in which case we got the flag just like this. Okay, so now that we have this, we can submit it as the flag for this particular challenge and complete it. Okay, so paste in the flag value and then click on Submit Flag. So emat84 says, that's exactly what I did. Probably wouldn't have thought about strings if it wasn't for you talking about it first, though. Well, I mean, these things become easier with experience. So if you see a lot of CTF challenges, they start to become very similar after a while. But if you've never seen something before, then it's completely new, then you don't really see the pattern to it, and that's completely fine. Everybody is new at some point. Okay, so stringsit. Let's click back into the challenge and upvote the challenge to show appreciation for the challenge makers. All right, and that is done. Okay, so that was a quick one. I think we have time for one more challenge. Let's take a look at the next challenge, which is called Wave a Flag. Okay, so this challenge involves some things that are not exactly what we covered in the last workshop, but I think if we think about it for a little bit, we should be able to get the answer and solve this challenge. So let's go to this challenge page. This challenge is called Wave a Flag, and the description here says, can you invoke help flags for a tool or binary? This program has extraordinarily helpful information. Okay, so this program over here, okay, so this is the program that we're downloading right now. So this program is going to lead to, this link is going to lead to a file, and the file is what we need to interact with to get the flag. So before we do that, let's set up our challenge environment. Once again, you can try and race me to the flag, and if you're able to get the flag without me showing you how, then that's some kudos on you. Okay, so let's go back to our picoCTF web shell, and then we're going to go back to our home directory with the cd tilde, and then we're going to make a directory for this challenge. So it's make dir, and this challenge is called Wave a Flag. So I make that directory, and then I enter that directory. And emat84 has got it once again. Very, very quick and very, very sharp today. All right, so I'm going to wget on this wget this file, this program. Right-click on it and copy the link address. Go over to the terminal and paste in the URL. And we have this file over here called warm. So this file over here is not executable at this point, so we can't run it right now. So the first thing we have to do is we want to modify the permissions on this file to make it executable. So first of all, we know that this is an executable file if we use the file command on it first. We see that it is a ELF 64-bit LSB pi executable. Okay, so that means that this is an executable binary file. So we're going to use the chmod command to change the file mode on this file, and then we're going to be able to execute it. emat84 says, I think I cheated. How do you think you cheated, emat? There's no such thing as cheating in these exercises because we're doing hacking, and hacking is essentially cheating. So okay, so chmod plus x, and then the name of the file. Ah, okay, you used strings on this one as well. All right. Okay, yeah, that is one way you could get this. You can get the flag for this challenge. But let's take a look at another way. So if we take a look at the description for this file, it says, "Can you invoke help flags for a tool or binary? This program has extraordinarily helpful information." So this is talking about using the help flag with a particular command. For example, if we do cat tac help, that's going to give us the help options for the cat command. So every single program inside of Linux has something like this. In our case, we want to use help with the warm binary file over here. So we could just do warm and then tac help, and that's going to give us the help dialog for this particular command. Oops, I misclicked. Let me go back here, and I clicked on it again. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to do // to specify that we're talking about the file inside of this directory. So /warm tac help. Okay, it says I don't know what dash help means. I do know what -h means though. So this is an alternate way to an alternate syntax to get the help flag for a particular file. So let's do that. So -h for help. Okay, oh, help, I actually don't do much, but have this flag here. Okay, so picoCTF, biscuits, and gravy. So let's copy that. So this is the flag right here. We can copy this, and then we can go back to the challenge, and we can paste this in as the answer, and click on submit flag, and then this is done. And we can go back to the challenge, wave a flag, and then upvote it to show our appreciation. Just like this. emat84 says, a quick and dirty way to get all permissions is chmod 777 file name. Yeah, so that is the way that you can set all permissions to on inside of a particular file. But in a lot of cases, this is a bit overkill. So most of the time, we just want to set the permissions that we need. In which case, just setting it as executable is usually the way to go. All right, so let's go back to the web shell and let's use emat's method. So this is the warm file, and emat did strings warm, and in which case we were able to get all of the strings with that's plural, and which was able to get all of the strings for this particular file. We could use it with maybe -14 to get all the strings that are at least 14 characters long over here, in which case there are a lot less of these. in which case this actually shows up over here. And this is a way you can get the file in an alternate way. All right. So let's go back to the challenge. Before we run the next challenge, I'm going to run another ad because I don't want the ads to happen while we're solving challenges. So just bear with me while we run a quick 1 minute break. All right, everybody, and we are back. I'm going to paste in the link for the next challenge that we're going to be doing right over here. And this challenge is called Bases. Okay, so it says here, what does this mean? I think it has something to do with bases. So considering what we learned on Monday's lesson, if anybody is able to identify what this could mean right here and exactly how to solve it, if you could type it in chat, then that would be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I'm going to demonstrate how to solve this challenge in just a bit. So in this case, we don't necessarily need to set up a challenge environment inside of our picoCTF shell, but let's do it just for fun. So for the web shell over here, we can back out and then we can make this directory right here called bases. And Emacs84 says this is base 64. Okay, so if you know that this information is base 64, what are some potential ways you could use to decode this information? So I'm going to echo out this this string over here into a file inside of our picoCTF web shell. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to go back to the web shell, and I'm going to paste this over here, and then I'm going to redirect the output into a file called bases.txt. So echo is going to echo out whatever output we give to it, in which case it is this, and then we're going to redirect this into a file called bases.txt. So my question to you then is, if we know that this is base 64, what could we potentially do to decode this information? So I've got bases.txt. We know this is base 64 encoded information. First of all, let me show you a non-terminal way of decoding this information. We could go to a website such as base64decode.com, which is right over here, and you can paste in any base 64 string over here and decode it this way. Emat84 says, I tried putting in the file and using cat file pipe base 64. Base 64, that's not quite correct. There's one more thing you need to include in that terminal command. Okay, so there are a lot of these websites and they deal with a lot of different stuff. So let's go back to this string right here. And we can just paste it in here, and then we can click on the decode button, and it's going to give us the flag string over here, which is learn the ropes. Okay, So this one is not. This one is not the complete flag. We have to wrap it with the picoCTF flag string in order to submit this. So we can copy this, and then we can go over to picoCTF, and we want to wrap this with the flag prefix. We have to wrap it with the curly braces, and then the picoCTF, and then we can only submit it after we've done it. We've modified the information like this. Okay, and now we've got 100 points. All right, so we want to go back into bases, the challenge description, and then we want to click on the upvote button. So let's go back to the terminal over here. So bases.txt, the normal operation of decoding with base64 is to do base64 and then -d for decode, and then the name of a file. So normally it wants the name of a file. We can give it the name of the file over here, and that's going to decode the output over here. And this is that's the flag right there. But another thing we can do is we can just use the echo command. So we can echo and then pipe base64d. So first of all, we need to get the original input, which is this. Paste it in. So we echo this out and then pipe it into base64 decode, and we get the answer that way as well. Okay. All right. So let's solve one more challenge before we call it a day. This one is called repetitions. So let me grab the link for that, and I will paste it in chat. And let's go over to the challenge description page. Okay, so this challenge is called repetitions. Can you make sense of this file? Download the file here. All right, and we have a link to a file over here. Once again, you are free to race me to the flag, and if you're able to get to the flag before me, then you obviously know your stuff. All right, so let's go back to the terminal, and let's set up our challenge environment. So it's we're going to go back to our home directory, and then we're going to create a directory called repetitions, and then enter that directory. And then we're going to download the challenge file. Okay, and then we copy the link address, go back to the terminal, and then use wget to download the file. All right, and we have copied a file called encflag over here. If we run file on the encoded flag, we see that it is ASCII text. Okay, in this case, let's read the file with the cat command. And we see this very long string right here. So this is one thing we can do to recognize base64 strings is the contents of the string. So base64 strings are going to contain uppercase and lowercase letters, as well as numbers. And a very telltale sign that something is potentially a base64 encoded string is the use of these equal characters at the end of the string, which are used as padding. So why are these equal characters here? It's because base64 encoded strings always have to be a number of characters that is divisible by 4. And in which case, when you're encoding the string and the result is not a number that is divisible by 4, they're going to the encoding is going to add a number of equal characters until the number is divisible by 4, and that's why you see these equal characters over here. So another thing you could do when you see something when you see a string that you suspect is encoded or hashed, you can also copy the string and you can ask ChatGPT what it thinks of the string. So you can copy this and then you can go over to ChatGPT and then you can ask it, what kind of encoding or encryption could this be? Okay, and another useful thing is to use shift return. If you do shift return, then you can go to the next line without necessarily hitting the enter key and submitting the line. So shift enter is a very useful thing to know as well. So we paste this in and we're asking ChatGPT what they think this could be as far as encryption or encoding is concerned. Okay, and ChatGPT says the given string appears to be base64 encoded data, and it also gives you a little Python script for decoding this data. And it also explains why it thinks it could be base64 encoded data. So when decoded, the base64 string provided yields this. So this doesn't necessarily look like a flag. The result still appears to be a string of characters that may be part of some structured encrypted message. Okay, so let's use the terminal to decode this message first. So let's go back to the web shell and let's decode this using base64. That's going to be base64d, and then the name of the file, which is encflag, enc_flag, and then we run this. And what we can do now is we can pipe this into another command, which is another base64 decode. So we use the same command, only we pipe this into base64d again. And that's going to get us another string over here, and this also looks like it could be base64 encoded as well. So we're going to do another base64d on it. And the output also looks like base64 code, which means you could try doing it again. And this is another base64 encoded string. So we can try doing another base64 decode. And the result is also base64 encoded. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've done 5 repetitive decryptions of this, decodes of this, rather. And let's do another one. And after six layers of base64 decoding, we get this. So it's picoCTF, base64 nested decoding downloaded. Okay. All right. So this is the flag for this particular challenge. We can copy it, and then we can go back to picoCTF, the repetitions challenge page, and we can submit this as the flag. So click on submit flag, and we are done. But don't forget to click on the upvote button over here to show appreciation for the challenge. All right, so everybody, if you managed to finish this one, the repetitions challenge, please type over and over in the chat with some smileys and some frog emotes, if you please. EMAT84 says under and below, not quite what I was looking for, but good enough. All right, so if there's so at this point, let's talk about some other platforms you can go to learn about Linux. So everybody here has been using Linux for a little while now, and and we've been using the over-the-wire bandit challenges to try to learn about Linux. There are a lot of other places you can learn about Linux. Let's take a look at another one over here called Linux Survival. So Linux Survival is this is not the prettiest way to learn about Linux, but it has a bunch of different topics over here, and it also has a terminal that you can interact with. So in this case, it says it wants us to type ls to get the list of the directory over here, and there's a bunch of different levels, and they talk about what the different commands are doing while you're going through them. So let's see. I think so. After you're done with each one of these quote unquote levels, you can click on the arrow key on the arrow buttons over here to go back and forth, and there's a lot of text over here, and it seems I haven't explored this too much myself, but it seems like there's a lot of different topics to explore inside of this website. So that's why I think it could be a very valuable place to learn about Linux and the Bash terminal in particular. Okay, so that's Linux Survival. Another thing that we can look at for learning about Bash Linux, basically anything, is over at CodeCademy. So CodeCademy is one of my favorite websites to learn about coding or other technical things. I will leave the link in the chat for everybody. So CodeCademy has a lot of different courses, a lot of different interactive and educational modules. But unfortunately, a lot of the stuff over here is going to be behind a paywall, so you have to pay for the courses. Fortunately, there are quite a number of free things that you can find on this website as well. If you go over to the search function, you can search for a lot of different technologies or programming languages. In our case, we're looking for Linux. And they've got a bunch of different courses over here. Introduction to Linux, Learn Swift, Introduction to Linux Bash Scripting. So the thing about searching for Linux inside of CodeCademy is that we're not necessarily looking for something called Linux. We're talking about the Bash terminal. And so in which case, we're not looking for the keyword Linux, we're looking for the keyword Bash. Because the name of the default shell inside of Linux is called the Bash shell. So let me copy this particular search term for you all in the chat in case you wanted to take a look. So there are quite a number of free courses on CodeCademy for this particular topic. Learning the command line over here. Learning the command line, configuring the environment, intro to the command line, Bash scripting, which is another very useful course over here, redirecting input and output. So each one of these is very short, so you can easily work through them. Maybe work through a couple of them each time you interact with it. So if I were to go to intro to the command line over here, this particular course, is there any big difference between Bash and ZSH, or is it preference only? So there are some quality of life differences between Bash and ZSH and SH and all those different command line terminal programs, but most of the time you're going to have to get used to navigating in a very bare bones type of terminal, because you never know what you're going to encounter when you're doing actual hacking or doing a bunch of different educational modules. So this course over here is Intro to the Command Line. Let me provide it to everybody in chat, just in case you want to play along, I'm going to start over here. So this is a free course, which is nice. So basically, any course that has an interactive terminal is something that I prefer as far as learning about any technology where I have to interact with the CLI, command line interface. So CodeAcademy is it looks a lot nicer than Linux Survival. Not that I'm bashing Linux Survival. It's just that it's not presented in a very aesthetically pleasing way. But yeah, so each one of these sections is going to have a piece of text talking about whatever topic they're highlighting in this section, and they'll have a number of instructions. And then after the instructions are done, you're going to click on next over here, and there's a bunch of different steps before you're finished the module. Okay, in this case, we've got some stuff inside of our directory, and as usual, if we were to take a look at what exactly the stuff here is, we see we have two directories over here called 2014, 2015. These are directories, you can tell by the D over here. And then we've got a couple of hidden files, dsstore and test.bats. And then we have a text file over here. But this is a bit beyond what we're expected to do at this particular stage. After we've done our ls command, we can click on next and go to the next section where they talk about the file system. So we haven't talked too much about the file system in Linux in our HackerFrogs Linux OS workshop so far. It's probably something we're going to cover in our next workshop because we're going to be working through the Try Hack Me Linux educational module. But an interesting thing about the file system is that they call the first directory in the file system the root directory, the parent of all other directories or files in the file system. So we have here a file system tree, and basically it all branches out into different folders. The interesting thing is that they call the top of the file system tree the root directory, but unfortunately that's a bit confusing because there's another directory inside of Linux called the root directory, which is the home directory for the root user, and the root user is basically the super user of the system. So I prefer not to call the top of the file system the root directory. I actually prefer to call it the base directory or the top level directory. So if we were to go to JS Linux, so we like to use this this fun little web-based Linux VM over here, and I'll provide the link in the chat for this one as well. So this is JS Linux, which is basically a version of Linux that you can access from the web. So if we were to do pwd inside of this system right here, it says we're in the root directory. So the root directory in this case is the home directory for the root user and not the top level directory. If we wanted to access the top level directory, we would do cd/, and / refers to the top level directory of the file system. So inside of the top level directory of the file system, we do pwd, it says /, which means we're at the top. If we were to run this ls command, we see that these are all the typical directories inside of a Linux file system over here. We'll talk about these directories a little bit later, but if you wanted to get a preview of this information, you could go back to CodeAcademy over here, where they're going to be talking about this stuff over here. So we're talking about directories and child directories, which are basically directories underneath other directories. Okay, so the instructions say move on to the next exercise to start learning about different commands. So we can just click on next, go to the next section. So here they're talking about the ls command. So even though we know most of the commands that they're going to be talking about inside of this inside this education module, it's still educational to read what they have to say about this stuff, because you might discover some new details about these commands that you didn't know before. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping things up pretty soon, but if anybody has any questions about working inside of Linux, or if you have any questions about cybersecurity in general, please type in the chat and I'll try to answer your questions as best I can. So before that, let me talk about HackerFrogs. What are we doing? So HackerFrogs is our little organization, and we've got a Reddit community over here. I'll just leave the link for that in the chat. So one new thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning about Python programming in 2 weeks or so. It's going to be starting on June 3rd, and it's going to be running for about 8 weeks. So that's about 2 months, and we're going to be going through all the concepts of the Python programming language in a very slow and methodical way. So if we're to click into this post over here on the Reddit, we're going to be covering a few different topics every session, starting on June 3rd and going up until July 22nd. So if you've ever wanted to learn about programming, we're going to be going through the different concepts slowly, and we're going to be going through them in an interactive way and trying to explain them as best we can. And we're going to try to not give you a bunch of PowerPoint slides and make you bored. All right, so what we're going to be doing in this particular course is we're going to be moving through this website over here. eman84 says, is there anything you need prior to this? No. We're going to be explaining programming from absolute zero, and I'm pretty sure beginners are going to be able to pick this up pretty easily, because we're not going to be moving through it we're not going to be rushing through things. So there's this website right here that we're going to be working through. It's called learnpython.org. Unfortunately, it seems that this website doesn't have the web server is not super fast, and they've got a bunch of ads on it. So if you can just click outside these windows, then you don't need to necessarily see all this stuff. So when we're talking about learning Python, we've got all these different modules over here to work through. And the great thing about the Learn Python website is that there are a bunch of interactive Python windows over here underneath each one of these explanations. So you can try out with some Python code what they're talking about in the above section. All right, so everybody, that was this session of HackerFrogs Extra Credit. I hope you learned some new stuff in today's interactive workshop. We certainly solved some challenges inside of picoCTF, and next week we're going to be diving into more Linux. It's going to be tryhackme.com, and it's going to be Linux Fundamentals Part 2 over here. I'll provide this link over here for you all. All right, so let me take a look at who is in chat. Okay, so let's take a look at who is streaming online. Let's see if we could sign somebody to raid. Okay, I see Computer Booter online. So let's, if I would really appreciate it if you could join us in the raid over to Computer Booter over at Twitch. It's a great little computer hardware store. And thank you very much for coming by. And we'll be back on Monday. But until then, have a great day, and we'll see you next time.